Have you ever felt like your mind was no longer your own, crowded with noise, pulled in every direction, and unable to find stillness? In a world where everyone talks but few truly speak, where action often replaces intention and speed is mistaken for strength, the quiet power of clarity has been lost. Yet the Stoics knew, true strength begins not with the body or the voice, but with the mind, calm, clear, and in command. They taught that wisdom is not loud, that the strongest words are spoken with care, and the boldest actions come from inner stillness. In silence, they found insight. In restraint, they found purpose. And through the harmony of thought, speech, and action, they found freedom. This is not just philosophy. It's a way of reclaiming yourself in a distracted age. So if you're ready to see the world and yourself through the Stoic lens, to think clearly, speak wisely, and act with quiet strength, stay with me. Chapter 1. The Clarity of Thought, the Battle Within. Before you can speak with wisdom or act with strength, you must first win the battle within by learning to think clearly. The Stoics taught that the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your thoughts. As Epictetus once said, "It's not things that trouble us, but our judgments about them." Clarity of mind is not something you stumble upon, it is something you forge. It begins in silence. In a world obsessed with noise and speed, the person who can sit quietly with their own thoughts holds a rare power. When the mind is calm, like still water, you can finally see what lies beneath. To think clearly is to pause, to question, to challenge your assumptions. It is to become the master of your inner world, not its servant. This clarity demands discipline, especially in language. If your words are careless, your thoughts will be too. But when you speak with purpose, you train your mind to think with precision. The Stoics refined their speech not to impress, but to sharpen their thinking. Every word was chosen, not thrown. To speak clearly is to think clearly. To speak deliberately is to live deliberately. So start small. Each morning, sit in stillness. Ask yourself, what am I thinking? Is it true? Is it useful? Over time, this simple habit becomes the forge in which your mind is shaped into something focused, resilient, and strong. Let your thoughts be clear, your words be few, and your actions firm. In mastering your mind, you take the first step toward mastering your life. Chapter 2. Curiosity, the Seed of Wisdom. A clear mind begins with a curious one. In the eyes of the Stoics, curiosity was not a luxury, it was a necessity. Seneca once wrote that philosophy begins in wonder, and from that wonder springs wisdom. For the Stoics, curiosity was not idle questioning. It was the fire that forged self-knowledge, the force that turned a reactive mind into a reflective one. A curious mind does not wait to be taught. It seeks, it asks, it challenges. It refuses to settle for surface-level answers or second-hand opinions. While the world rushes by in a blur of distractions and noise, the curious thinker slows down to look deeper, to ask, what is truly going on beneath appearances? This mindset builds mental resilience. It sharpens awareness. It prevents the kind of rigid thinking that leaves one vulnerable to manipulation or self-deception. A curious mind sees the unseen, hears what is not said, and draws meaning from silence as well as speech. In conversation, curiosity transforms you. You stop waiting for your turn to speak and start listening with purpose. You no longer speak to impress, but to explore. This approach builds bridges between people, ideas, and deeper truths. Curiosity, when paired with humility and discipline, becomes unstoppable. It does not fear the unknown, it welcomes it. It does not pretend to know everything. It finds strength in asking better questions. So each day, ask yourself, what have I not yet noticed? What have I taken for granted? What more can I learn here? In doing so, you train your mind to remain open, agile, and alive, ready to think clearly, speak wisely, and act with unshakable strength. Chapter 3. The Power of Pause, the Art of Listening and Speaking. In a world addicted to noise, the pause has become a lost art, yet within that silence lies immense power. As the Stoics understood, it is not the rush of words that reveals wisdom, but the stillness between them. The pause is not emptiness, it is presence. It shows control, not hesitation. It's the mark of someone who governs their emotions, who listens deeply and speaks only when their words are worthy of the silence they break. Today, most people speak to avoid silence, fearing what it might reveal. They confuse speed with intelligence, volume with authority. But the Stoic mind sees things differently. It knows that silence unsettles the impulsive, calms the aggressive, and disarms the manipulative. In pausing, you reclaim your space, your time, your clarity. To speak with wisdom, you must first learn to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. The pause allows you to gather your thoughts, to choose your words like a craftsman selects his tools. Each sentence becomes intentional, each word deliberate. You speak not to impress, but to express with clarity and strength. In conversation, the pause becomes your anchor. It builds curiosity. It commands attention. It shifts the dynamic, not through force, but through calm authority. So the next time you're drawn into a heated exchange or feel the urge to fill the silence, pause. Let your stillness speak first. It is in that space that your discipline is revealed, your clarity shines, and your words truly begin to matter. Chapter 4. Speaking is storytelling, weaving words like a master. The most powerful voices in history weren't the loudest. They were the most intentional. They were storytellers. They understood that to speak wisely is not to lecture, but to invite. Not to impress, but to illuminate. The Stoics knew that words, when chosen with care, could become bridges between minds. A wise speaker doesn't bombard with facts. They guide with feeling, with rhythm, with imagery. They pause, they place, they paint. Each word becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of understanding. To speak is to tell a story, and to tell a great story, you must first live one. Storytelling begins not in the telling, but in the noticing, in slowing down, in paying attention to the quiet shifts of life, the tension in a friend's silence, the insight hidden in failure, the beauty of a sunrise missed by most. The wise see meaning where others see routine. They store moments like treasures, because every experience becomes a lesson, every challenge a chapter. You don't need grand adventures to speak deeply. You need presence, awareness, the courage to live fully and reflect deeply. When your words are drawn from real experience, they carry weight. People don't just hear you, they feel you. You aren't just sharing ideas, you're offering understanding. And in that offering, you connect. So collect your stories, write them, reflect on them. Speak not to perform, but to teach, to resonate, to awaken thought. In doing so, your voice becomes more than sound. It becomes impact. It becomes memory. Chapter 5. Strength in Action, Stoic Poise and Conviction. The final pillar is action. To think clearly and speak wisely means little if you do not act with strength. Thought and speech, no matter how refined, are incomplete without movement, without the courage to bring them into the world. Action is where wisdom becomes reality. It is the bridge between intention and impact. The Stoics taught that true strength lies not in reaction, but in reason. Acting from impulse, whether anger, fear, or pride, makes you a servant to forces beyond your control. Anger blinds, fear paralyzes, and ego distorts. But when you act from clarity, from values deeply considered and convictions well earned, you become grounded. You move through life not as a leaf tossed by the wind, but as a mountain unmoved by the storm. Strong action is calm, deliberate, and principled. It is not hurried, not chaotic. It is guided by a steady hand and a clear mind. To act without purpose is to wander, but to act with conviction is to advance, step by step, towards something meaningful. You do not need noise to make your presence known. You do not need dominance to lead. When your actions consistently align with your values, your strength becomes undeniable. People begin to trust, not just your words, but your way of being. You become a living example of integrity. The Stoic warrior does not boast. They move with quiet force, letting their consistency speak louder than any declaration. And in this, they earn respect. Not by demanding it, but by embodying it. Before any decision or bold step, ask yourself, is this clear? Is this wise? Is this strong? If the answer is yes, proceed. If not, pause, reflect. Then move forward with intention, for that is the mark of true strength. Chapter 6. The Discipline of Restraint. Choosing when not to speak. Clear thought and wise speech are not only measured by what you say, but by what you choose to leave unsaid. The Stoics understood a timeless truth. There is immense strength in restraint. In a world that rewards noise, silence has become an act of rebellion. Words, like arrows, cannot be recalled once released. To hold them back requires discipline, awareness, and deep self-command. It is the mark of someone who does not act on impulse, but on principle. Someone who understands that not every opinion must be voiced, not every silence must be filled. We live in an era of instant reactions, where speed is mistaken for significance and silence is seen as weakness. But the Stoic path teaches otherwise. It reminds us that wisdom is found not in how much you speak, but in why you speak. Speech should serve purpose, never ego. It should bring clarity, not confusion, connection, not conflict. A Stoic thinker speaks only when their words outweigh the silence they break. They are not afraid of quiet moments, because in silence, truth emerges. In restraint, presence is felt. And in that stillness, your energy is preserved, your character protected. You don't need to prove yourself with every sentence. You prove it through patience, poise, and the power of intentional speech. Restraint shields you from regret, from the careless words spoken in anger or pride. It is the pause that disarms chaos, the calm that commands respect. So before you speak, ask yourself, is this necessary? Is it helpful? Is it wise? If not, hold your tongue. Let your silence speak for you. Let it reflect your strength, not your hesitation. For the Stoic, silence is not emptiness, it is authority. And in mastering restraint, you master yourself. Chapter 7. Emotional Control, the Silent Architect of Strong Action. The Stoics never claimed that emotions were the enemy. What they warned against was being ruled by them. Anger, fear, envy, pride, these are not signs of weakness in themselves. They are simply part of being human. But when they dictate your decisions, you surrender your strength to things outside your control. Emotional control is not about suppression, it is about sovereignty. The Stoic path begins with awareness. When emotion arises, sudden and sharp, you must train yourself to pause, to recognize it, name it, observe it. In that pause, no matter how brief, lies the most vital power you possess, the power to choose your response. Between stimulus and reaction, there is space. And in that space is where character is built. To act from anger is easy. To act with calm in the face of provocation is strength. To let fear guide your choices is instinct. To walk forward despite fear, that is courage. The Stoic, like Marcus Aurelius, did not deny emotion. He studied it. He asked, "Is this feeling worthy of action, or is it merely a passing cloud?" He understood that emotions can inform, but must never command. Let your reason lead. Let your principles anchor you, and let your emotions be your signals, not your captains. The world will test you. People will provoke you. Life will throw setbacks, insults, and injustice your way. But the person who can pause, breathe, and choose clarity over chaos, this is the one who cannot be manipulated, who cannot be broken. When you master emotional control, you don't just survive the storms, you learn to navigate through them. You become the architect of your actions, not their prisoner. You shape your life with intention, not reaction. So the next time your emotions rise, do this. Pause. Take 3 deep breaths. Then ask yourself, is this aligned with my values or with my impulses? Train yourself not to react, but to respond, with poise, with wisdom, and with strength. Chapter 8. Mental Preparation. Always be 10 steps ahead. To speak with wisdom and act with strength, you must prepare your mind, not just for what is likely, but for what is possible. The Stoics understood that clarity and resilience are not born in the moment of chaos. They are forged long before it. This is the practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. But it is not pessimism. It is not about dwelling on what might go wrong. It is strategic foresight. It is training the mind to be unsurprised, unshaken, and always ready. Life will not go according to plan. People will disappoint you. Situations will twist. Your own emotions will rise at inconvenient times. But none of this needs to catch you off guard if you have already walked the battlefield of the mind. The Stoic thinker prepares as a warrior would. They run mental rehearsals. What challenges might I face today? What might trigger my ego? Where could I be tempted to speak rashly or act impulsively? This internal questioning does not create anxiety. It prevents it. It builds mental flexibility and calm readiness. When you are mentally prepared, you do not freeze in uncertainty or crumble under pressure. You move with intention. You speak with presence. You respond, not from instinct, but from principle. Preparation is not just for obstacles, it is also for success. Many fall not from failure, but from the pride that success breeds. The prepared mind is aware of both. It celebrates neither too loudly, nor despairs too deeply. It remains grounded, centered in discipline, not in outcome. To anticipate is to master your inner battlefield. You think several steps ahead, not to control every variable, but to control your response to them. You assess not just the facts, but the emotions, the tensions, the subtle cues others miss. You prepare not only to defend your peace, but to lead with clarity. Mental preparation becomes your silent advantage, your invisible armor. Others may act surprised, flustered, or overwhelmed, but you are composed, because you've been here before, in your mind, and you've already chosen who you will be in that moment. So before any crucial decision, conversation, or challenge, pause. Close your eyes. Walk the terrain in your mind. Anticipate objections. Prepare for resistance. Plan for silence. Expect the unexpected. Then step forward, not as someone hoping things go well, but as someone prepared to remain strong, no matter how they go. Chapter 9. Presence, the power of full attention. To think clearly, speak wisely, and act with strength, there is one element that binds them all: presence. In a world of constant distraction, where minds drift between screens, shallow conversations, and endless mental noise, true presence has become rare. And like all rare things, it holds immense value. The Stoics, including figures like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, taught that without full awareness of the moment, there can be no mastery, no control over your words, your thoughts, or your actions. Presence, then, is not just attention, it is discipline. It is the foundation of self-command. When you are fully present, your perception sharpens. You begin to see what others miss: the tension behind a smile, the uncertainty hidden in someone's tone, the patterns in your own reactions. You no longer operate on autopilot. You don't just hear words, you absorb them. You read the room like a strategist, grounded in clarity and attuned to nuance. Presence gives you poise. You stop reacting. You start responding with intention, with care. Your speech becomes measured, your actions deliberate. You are no longer swayed by impulse or pulled by noise. In every interaction, you radiate calm authority, not because you force it, but because you're truly there. In a distracted world, presence is power. People gravitate toward those who truly listen, who make them feel seen and heard. Presence builds trust, not through performance, but through attention. You don't need to dominate a room to command respect. You only need to be fully engaged. To be present is to give a rare gift in today's society: your undivided self. Developing presence is a practice, not a talent. It requires slowing down, putting the phone away, redirecting your thoughts back to the now each time they wander. It demands mindfulness, the quiet effort of choosing awareness again and again. Over time, presence refines every part of you. It sharpens your thinking. It deepens your conversations. It makes your words more resonant and your actions more precise. Presence is not passive, it's an active discipline. And through it, you become stronger, wiser, and more attuned to both yourself and others. So begin the practice now. In your next conversation, silence the noise. Look the person in the eye. Listen not just with your ears, but with your full attention. Let your responses rise not from habit, but from stillness. Train your presence like a muscle, and it will become your quiet strength in every room you enter. Chapter 10. Integrity. Aligning thought, word, and action. The highest form of strength is not loud, it is lived. True integrity is the convergence of clear thought, wise speech, and purposeful action. It is when your mind, your words, and your deeds flow in the same direction, anchored in your values, unwavering in your purpose. The Stoics taught that integrity isn't about applause or appearances. It's not about being seen, it's about being solid. A person of integrity doesn't say one thing and do another. They don't hide behind polished words or hollow gestures. Their character speaks even in silence, in how they treat others, in how they keep their word, and in how they hold their ground when no one is watching. When you live in alignment, you stop performing. You start embodying. You no longer need to convince others of your worth. Your life becomes the evidence. Your consistency becomes your message, and your quiet strength becomes your legacy. Integrity is not a single decision. It's a daily discipline. It's choosing what is right over what is easy, what is true over what is convenient. It's admitting when you fall short and having the courage to correct your course. To live with integrity is to walk through life unshaken, not because you never stumble, but because you always return to your center. And when your thoughts are clear, your words deliberate, and your actions strong, you become a beacon of steadiness in a world starved for truth. You won't inspire through noise, but through the quiet strength of a life aligned, not by seeking attention, but by living with such integrity that respect follows naturally. Each night, reflect. Did my actions honor my words? Did my words reflect my thoughts? Did my thoughts stay true to my values? Subscribe for more wisdom. Comment, live with clarity, and remember, growth is daily. Stay steady, stay present. The next step in your Stoic journey awaits.